We're here at Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York, with former two-division champion Joey Gamache from Lewiston, Maine. Joey, Lewiston is known for Joey Gamache, but it's also known for another piece of boxing history. You probably weren't even born when that happened, though.
That's right, Cassius Clay and Sonny Liston.
To you younger listeners out there, Cassius Clay was later known as Muhammad Ali, and he had his rematch with Sonny Liston in Lewiston, Maine. But Joey, growing up in New England, northern New England, which really wasn't a boxing hotbed back then, you won one amateur accolade after another. You were a national champion, I think an international champion. How was it you were able to get so much experience coming from Maine, which is, kind of a small state in the boxing circles?
Well, it's kind of ironic compared to today's boxing world, because coming from Maine, the backwoods of boxing, where there's not much of it, that I was lucky enough to have a trainer that from the time I walked through the door to the time I left gave me undivided individual attention. And really, a great team was everything that you need. You need guys that are going to be there for you, support you, a great trainer, good promoters, great father. It was a great team, really, and made my work that much easier. And my pedigree was good as an amateur, the kind that you look to go on as a pro and become a world champion. But you're only as good as your team. I had Johnny Boz, Tony Lamprin, I worked with Jimmy Glenn, Teddy Atlas, Jimmy Williams, some real good trainers.
And Joey, what was it that attracted you to boxing in the first place?
Oh, I think just walking into the gym and seeing what was going on and accomplishing goals that maybe people didn't think you could accomplish, and winning fights and setting one goal at a time, saying, okay, let me see how good I can become, and really challenging yourself, saying that, okay, I won my first fight, let me see if I can win a state championship, then a regional, then a national, then an international. And, then once you get to a certain level, you start to say, oh, maybe I'm pretty good here. Maybe I can even go further and go professional.
Now, as a professional, you fought a veritable who's who of top contenders and champions of 2 decades ago. Tony Lopez, I think one of your fights might have been called Fight of the Year by Ring Magazine. Julio Cesar Chavez. You won world titles against a South African as well as a Korean, both in Maine. Take us a little bit through your professional history.
Well, I fought Tony Lopez. That was my first title defense. It wasn't a mandatory, but we took him on because we felt the timing was right. And I was beating him going into the 11th round, and I got caught. My face was all busted up. One thing I was always notorious for was cutting up around the eyes and swelling up, and that's what happened in that fight. Give him all the credit that the guy stuck with the fight, persevered, and stayed till the end. Got the mission done. Then I fought like a Julio Cesar Chavez. That was one of the fights of the year for '96. One of the top 5 fights with Bert Sugar. Then I had a couple wham bam thank you ma'ams with Nazarov and Gaddy. I can't elaborate too much with the Gaddy fight, but Nazarov, hey, the guy was a super fighter. Caught me quick, and I couldn't recognize him in an elevator today. It was that fast.
Just for some of you that don't remember, Guzzi Nazarov, I believe, was from Japan, and he was brought over to Lewiston, Maine for Joey to defend his title against, and he scored somewhat of a shocking upset.
He did. Actually, Nazarov was the champion at the time, and he went, to defend against me. I was the mandatory #1 contender. I had won the 40-pound NABF title, and we had got ranked #1, so we had to have a meeting to see which way we were going to go, and I decided to drop back down to 35. And, it turned out to be a bad move. The guy was a strong guy, and, it's part of the game. Listen, the guy he caught me good, and I never got started, and that was the end of it.
Well, having had so many, tremendous victories in front of the hometown crowd, how difficult was it for you to lose in front of a hometown crowd?
Well, it was never really hard for me to lose in some of these fights. I'll tell you why, because when you go out and give 100% and give all that you can, that's all you can ask for. Those are the fights that really kind of help you discover who you are. When you're in the trenches and you get knocked down or you're cut and you pick yourself up and you continue on, that's where you really discover what you're all about. So sometimes those wins don't take you there as much as the losses do.
So here you are, you're about 40 years old now.
40.
You're a white-collar trainer here at Gleason's Gym. A lot of people like to work with you. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but what did boxing teach you about yourself? What kind of person did it make you?
Well, first of all, I'm not a white-collar trainer. I'm a teacher, which I feel I'm one of the last of the dying traditional trainers out there that knows how to teach the whole game, whether it's footwork, whether it's offense, defense, slipping, blocking, all together. And for me, what the game has taught me, it's given me this education that I can go and give to others. And the big thing is being in a gym like Gleason's, it's a little different than home because like here, you're in the ghetto, you're in the third world, and what's tough is that it's so commercialized that it's hard to develop fighters through this being commercialized. What's happened is that you got trainers that are working with 5 and 6 people at a time, and fighters, for them to be at their best, you have to prioritize. You have to work with them from the time they walk through the door to the time they leave. Yeah, there's some exceptions to the rule that are so talented that maybe they'll make it on their own somehow or another, but I guarantee you the majority of fighters that make it are the ones that get that undivided individual attention.
You live down here in New York with your wife. You're here at Gleason's almost every day. Do you miss the bucolic existence that you had up in Maine, or is that so far behind you that you don't think about it that often?
No, what I miss more is my family. I'm here, like, not for the novelty of the big buildings, the bright lights, the wide streets. I'm here for the action. And for me to come to New York just to be a commercialized trainer, I can't do it. You know, I grew up in a blue-collar background. I do Venetian plaster. I grew up in drywall. So, I mean, I'm a working man. I mean, for me, just to rely on the commercialized end, I can't do it. It's not where I would be happy. I mean, ultimately the goal is to get the right contact, to take off with a fighter, and just let it kind of grow from there.
Looking back on your lifetime in boxing, which obviously goes back quite, many of your 40 years, it sounds like it's been a very good ride for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I fought on the undercard of Marvin Hagler before he was world champion. My first fight was in '77, so, I've been around a long time, and yeah, I mean, I think in the end you have to be happy with yourself. I mean, as long as you know you train hard, you train smart, you give your 100% effort, I mean, what more can you ask of yourself? I mean, God blesses us with only so much ability, so we use it to the extreme, and I was one of the lucky guys. I had a great team. I could never accomplish what I did without my team, and with all that put together, and whatever I lacked for talent or power or speed, I compensated with a solid work ethic and found a way to get there. So, I'm a lucky guy.
Well, you're only 40 years old, Joey. You still got a lot to accomplish in the years to come. It's been a pleasure, and best of luck to you, and I hope 2007 is your best year yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.